Guys, welcome back to my channel, and I wanted to show you guys my houseplants and do a houseplant tour video, but I have a lot of them, and they're not all at the same house, and that's kind of the catch. So I'm working on getting the rest of my houseplants over to this house, but it's going to be a long video, and it's actually going to be divided into different segments, because I don't have enough space on any of my devices to record a full houseplant tour with all 95 of my plants, especially considering I can't like switch houses just for the video right now. I mean, I could try, snap my finger here. So, guess the magic of video editing didn't transport me to the other house. So, unfortunately, we're going to be stuck here for the whole video. But I will do part 2 when I get all of my other house plants over at this house. But this is, I believe, the 55 that I have here, and I don't know if I'll get to the whole tour today or if I'll save the kitchen for later. But I will start with my bedroom, and then there's a windowsill right out of my bedroom that I will show you guys. So we'll start with this windowsill, and I'm not sure of the exposure for lighting. I know this could either be north or south, but I know that this one is east, and that's all I know. So we'll start here, and this is a lot of succulents and terracottas. So starting here, we have a Euphorbia trigona, or trigonia, however you say it, rubra. This is the red African milk cactus, and it's not actually a cactus, it's a succulent in the same genus as poinsettia. Yes, it's actually, technically you could call it a poinsettia if you want, or like a poinsettia family plant if you wanted to, because it's very, very closely related. And it's a little more obvious in the summer that it's related, because if you see here, there are those little bumps. Those are leaf buds. Now, in the spring and summer, it'll have leaves, little red leaves coming all the way up and down this plant, which will make it look like a weird cactus succulent hybrid. And then in the winter, it kind of loses those. It does have these spines, but they tend to be a little bit fleshy. I still wouldn't go grabbing the cactus, but they are getting a little bit hard now. But the younger plants, the spines are pretty soft. This one's a little bit older now, so it's a little bit hard now and spiky and sharp. But they're not totally dangerous. So if you want like kind of a cactus-looking plant, but you're concerned about like children or pets, first of all, this succulent will remain small enough for quite a while that you can put it on your windowsill, and when it outgrows that, the spines still aren't too sharp. However, if something tries to eat this, it is filled with like a latexy type of sap, so be careful about that because it is kind of poisonous. But anyways, moving on. In this pot I have 2 Haworthias. This is a Haworthia cooperi, and this is a Haworthia, and it starts with an R, and I can't remember what it is. Let's see, where did I get these? I bought this one at one of my garden centers called Frontier, and I believe this one was purchased from the same place, but this was given to me as a gift. And something cool about both of these is that you can see that there's these little clear windows on the leaves that are transparent, and I love that about Haworthias. And they're pretty small, but I'm happy to see that you can see that there's some pups forming around the base of the plant. Here, let me take it out real quick. You can see that there's some little pups forming. There's also a mother of thousands plant in that pot. Those plants just grow everywhere and anywhere. So next up, we have my blizzard aloe, and you can see that there's another mother of thousands plant in here. And this is my aloe blizzard hybrid, and I love this plant so much because you can see there's so many pups around the bases of the plants, and it just constantly produces more and more for me. And I love the white leaves with the green. They are so beautiful. And I got this plant at Home Depot for less than $5, and it was such a steal, so I'm glad I got it. Next up, we have this Gasteria, which usually grows one way. You can see the leaves kind of grow all in the same direction, but then I noticed that these new leaves are kind of turning, and I don't know if that's a normal thing with Gasterias, but I'm looking it up, and the thing to see what happens with it. Hopefully it's healthy and I didn't mess anything up. Anyways, so some cool things about Gasteria is when they pup so freely. Oh, and there's another mother of thousands in there, but they pup so freely. You can see there's so many little pups around the base of the plant. So that's one way to propagate them. You can also take a piece of a leaf off, and you can see this has roots on it. Anyways, so Gasteria, the name comes from the word gaster, which means stomach, because the flowers are shaped just like little pink stomachs. It's really, really interesting to see those flowers in the summer. They bloom for me in really late winter for me for some reason, and then in late summer it also bloomed for me. So I don't know what'll happen this year, but I will keep you posted on whenever this flowers. So moving on, we have this Kalanchoe luciae, I believe is how you say it. It's called a paddle plant or flapjacks, or I call it my pancake Kalanchoe, because it's got these big round flat leaves. They're so beautiful with these red edges, and then in the summer when they're out in full sun, almost the entire leaf turns red. This one has not flowered for me yet, and I think this plant is monocarpic, which means it dies after it flowers. But the good thing is it pups so freely. You can see that there's a pup down here. There's some mother of thousands around the base that fell into this pot. Gotta love mother of thousands. But yeah, this is such a pretty plant, and I love it. And I got this one at Home Depot as well. I got this one at Culver's. So this one I got at a farmer's market, actually. And the funny story is I've been looking at every nursery to find any sort of stapeliad plant that I could. And I couldn't find any no matter where I went. And I was getting frustrated because I really wanted one. And first I wasn't even picky or particular about what genus it came from, what kind it was. I just wanted something in the stapeliad family. And I finally found one. And it was one of the ones that was very high on my list. It was at the top of my list. It was Huernia zebrina, and I heard that these grow slowly and that they don't like to be in too big of a pot. And they don't like too much water, so I didn't give it a lot of water. I didn't feed it. I didn't do much to it. I just left it in its tiny little nursery pot. And keep in mind, at the beginning of last summer, it was literally a third of this size. And then eventually I'm like, you know what, it needs a slightly bigger pot. The old pot, this little crappy black nursery pot, is cracking. It was so flimsy. So I put it in another nursery pot that was green. And then I'm like, wait, why don't I transfer it to terracotta? And then as soon as I put it in this terracotta pot, and this is a 6-inch pot, it grew. It exploded with growth. I transplanted it, let it sit for 2 weeks, and then I fed it. It got, it put on another, it just tripled in size. Got this big, and it started flowering. It put out the most interesting flowers. They call them lifesaver. They call it a lifesaver cactus, although it's actually not a cactus. This is in the milkweed family, but they call it the lifesaver cactus or the lifesaver flower, and it's kind of like a bronzy, kind of like a mustard yellow with kind of brownish red stripes, and then the center has a lifesaver candy looking ring that's it depends on the amount of light, the color that it is, because sometimes they open up and they're kind of brown, but then other times they open up and they're fire truck red, and it's so cool to see. So I will definitely give you guys an update on when this flowers next year, because it's absolutely stunning, and it's so easy to propagate as well. I gave a couple pieces of this plant away just by taking one of these little segments, and you can just twist it off and let it dry for a few days, and then plant it in some soil, and it'll grow for you amazingly. So this is such a great plant. If you can ever find one, definitely get it, because you will absolutely love it. And some stapeliads seem to have a really strong odor, and I've never really seen too many stapeliads, so I wouldn't know. But this one really doesn't smell like anything in particular, although I have noticed that, little flies and ants and stuff kind of like the flowers when it's outside, but they don't seem to come inside when this thing flowers indoors, so you don't really have to worry about that. But other stapeliads, like the giant stapeliads and the carrion flowers, smell like how do they say it in the UK? I believe it's bin juice, or like garbage juice, like the fermenting stuff at the bottom of your garbage can is what I've heard they're supposed to smell like. And it's supposed to smell absolutely disgusting and attract a lot of flies. So if you don't want that, then this is a good stapeliad for you. So the last plant on this windowsill is my pharaoh cactus, and I know that again there's a lot of mother of thousands at the base of this cactus. Anyway, so I painted this pot myself. I got this cactus at Lowe's, and it hasn't flowered yet, but I heard the flowers are supposed to be a really nice yellow color, so hopefully I'll get those at some point. But anyways, so this cactus, I know that I said that this lighting is possibly a north-facing window, and that's not good for cacti, but don't worry, no fears, I will move it outside in the spring and summer and keep it there. But anyways, with cacti, I don't water them at all in the winter. All of these succulents, they get water once a month in the winter. So I already watered them for November, and then in December I'll water them again. January they'll get some water. February they'll get water. But cacti just don't like any type of water in winter. So I'm just kind of letting it go dormant, and it can stay like that all winter. And I don't really think that, I don't have a lot of like exposure right now for sun. So I'll see what I can do about that. When I get my table, I might move it so that it's in the east facing window. But I'll have to figure that out. So we're going to move on to my little bedside garden here. I'm actually sitting on my bed right now, as you can see, and this is the windowsill that's by it. But we're going to move on right here to see the couple of plants that are on here, and then I will end this video and go on to part 2. So right here, first of all, we have my aloe apache hybrid, and I got this at Home Depot. It was actually in the landscaping plants. And I had no idea. I'd never seen Home Depot carry such big aloe, so I bought it, and I've divided it. I've planted cuttings. I pollinated it. I've actually got some seeds from it. I crossed my aloe Hemingii with this aloe, and I have the seeds ready to plant pretty soon here. And it's just such a big, glorious plant, and I love it so much. And it's in this big terracotta pot with this like little butterfly decal, and I love it. So next up, this is a new plant. I just got this. My rose quartz echinopsis. It was a cactus rescue mission. I took the hot glued straw flowers off of it. You can see some of the spines got removed from this stem. And I had no idea Echinopsis cacti bloomed when they were so small, but I kept seeing these little dry things around the cactus upon closer inspection, and I realized that these were dried flowers from last season. So I can't wait until this flowers, because rose quartz Echinopsis have been at the top of my list for a long time because of how beautiful their flowers are. So wrapping up this, I got a couple of African violet leaves. I gotta add more water. There's some Orbeez in this as well. But anyways, the last plant that I'm going to show in this part of the video is this begonia, and I believe it's an angel wing begonia, and I believe the hybrid is called Lucerna or something like that. And if that sounds familiar to you, it's because Albert Einstein actually owned an angel wing begonia Lucerna, and this, I forget which college this came from, but a friend of mine gave me this cutting, and you can see the cutting is actually still in water. She gave me this cutting, and she told me this came from, I forget what university it is, but it came from a university, and this came from a cutting from the plant that Albert Einstein had so long ago. So, basically, this is a descendant of Einstein's plant, which makes this very special to me in my collection. So I will get more information for you guys on how that works and exactly where it came from, but I just wanted to tell you, I don't really do begonias a lot. This is like my only begonia right now. Well, I've got another one at the other house, but begonias aren't my primary specialty, but I do want a couple of Rex begonias in the future. But this begonia here, when I got the opportunity to obtain one of these, I said yes, because it's so beautiful. On the upper side, it's got these beautiful metallic-y silver spots on the leaves, and then underneath, it's just this beautiful bronzy red color. So anyways, thanks for watching part 1 of my houseplant tour. I will be posting part 2 shortly, so see you there.